Welcome back. So the Democratic Alliance is threatening to approach the South African Human Rights Commission over the impact of water disruptions at Carletonville Hospital in Ekurhuleni. The party claims the water crisis has led to the complete shutdown of the hospital's theatre and maternity ward. But for more on this, I am now joined by the DA's Gauteng spokesperson for health, Madeleine Hicklin. Madeleine, good evening to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. So the DA saying that they're willing to approach the Human Rights Commission over this issue. Will you explain?
Absolutely.
Yeah, explain the situation that you found at this Carletonville Hospital.
Good evening, and good evening to all the viewers. We went as a portfolio committee oversight on the portfolio committee went for an oversight to the Carletonville District Hospital, and we met with Josias Naidoo, who's the CEO of the hospital, and he took us into confidence and said that the hospital had no water, and we were absolutely shocked. And he said that the Merifong municipality owed Rand Water 1.6 billion Rand. And Rand Water had throttled the supply of water to the hospital, and they had no water. And as a result, their theatre had to close down, maternity had to close down, the central sterilisation supply department had to close down, and nurses had to run up and down stairs with buckets of water to be able to allow patients to use toilet and ablution facilities. The emergency department had no toilet facilities. The doctors in the emergency rooms had buckets of water where they were taking cups of water to wash their hands between patients. And there was no water in the hospital because the Carletonville Hospital's reservoir, their own reservoir, the water level had dropped below 20%. And so they could no longer pump water to the wards and to the various departments within the hospital. And as a result, they had no free running water in the hospital. I mean, how does anybody allow a situation like this to occur?
Yeah, and how long has this been going on? Because there's certainly the situation now, but if this has been a long-standing problem as well.
Well, let's say that Merifong has been indebted to Rand Water for a while, but they've had a lot of warning to rectify the situation and haven't done so. The situation at Carletonville District Hospital occurred on the 8th of May, and Mr. Naidoo arranged a tanker immediately so that he could facilitate the running up and down of stairs of the nurses and the porters to make life as easy, in inverted commas, as possible for the patients and for the staff. But you must understand, every nurse has to do her regular nursing duties and run up and down with buckets of water. So they are overburdened because they're short-staffed, but now they're running around trying to facilitate toilet duties and washing of patients. And it affects the serving of food because they can't wash dishes. It started on the 8th of May, and he got tankers straight away. Now, I'm intrigued by the spokesperson for the Gauteng Department of Health, Motalatale Modiba, who said that the water outage at the hospital occurred on the 8th of May and was resolved on the same day. But 2 sentences later in the press release that the Gauteng Department released, said the municipality was facing a critical challenge due to ongoing restrictions by Rand Water on the municipality's supply. And these limitations have significantly reduced the flow, and that interim measures were in place. But if the municipality was unable to restore normal water pressure, this issue could persist for the foreseeable future. But 2 sentences prior said that it was resolved on the same day. Well, which is it? Has it been resolved, or is it going to be persistent for the foreseeable future? Let me answer. It's going to be persistent for the foreseeable future because there is not 1.6 million Rand in the Merifong municipality's bank account to pay Rand Water.
Well, you know what? We've got Motalatale Modiba on the line with us, and he will be joining us in a moment, and so we'll get that answer. But
that's fantastic, because I'd appreciate that answer too.
As the Democratic Alliance, though, what interactions have you had with the Gauteng Department of Health to try and bring this issue to light, and what do you hope the Human Rights Commission is able to do about it?
Well, we only found out about it when I did the oversight on the 8th of May. And the point of the matter is that the Gauteng Health Department is notorious for not paying suppliers on time. This is not a new problem that has been revealed yesterday or the day before. The Gauteng Health Department doesn't pay its suppliers within 30 days or even 90 days. And we have had engagements with the Health Department and with the Treasury as the Portfolio Committee. And we have said to Premier Panyaza Lesufi, urgently resolve this matter, because water is a basic human right. You cannot deny a hospital, in particular, access to water. Water cannot be the bargaining point for service delivery, especially in a hospital setting. We haven't had any response to this from the hospital, from the Gauteng Health Department itself. But this is not the first time that we've had issues with problems associated with supply chain, associated with payment of suppliers from the MEC, from the HOD, and from the Gauteng department itself.
Okay, well, we're going to leave it there, Madeleine. Thank you so much for speaking to us. As we bring in Motalatale Modiba, of course, Madeleine Hicklin is DA Gauteng spokesperson for health. Now joining us to respond is Motalatale Modiba, who is the spokesperson for Gauteng Health. Thank you so much for joining us, Motalatale. First things first, how would you describe the situation at Carletonville Hospital as we speak?
The situation, thanks, Naledi, for having us. The situation at Carletonville Hospital is normal, stable. The facility continues to function as expected. I was listening to your interview and I almost fell off my chair. And had it not been, I think, out of respect for the member of the provincial legislature, I would have almost said certain things, because it's just amazing at how we're conflicting so many unrelated issues. You're dealing with the water issue, and I was listening now at so many other issues that are being brought that have nothing to do with the situation at hand. And I think it's high time that we really appeal to public representatives not to abuse their oversight role and to really take the public into confidence, because that's not us, it's anyone. I was listening to what the APL Madeleine was saying,
what was being conflated? Let's clarify that.
Okay. One, the issue around, I don't know where the issue of payments come in this instance, because the hospital does not pay rent water. The hospital pays the municipality, but the account of the hospital at the municipality is not in arrears. So the debt that the municipality, in this particular instance, the Merafo municipality, might be having with rent water has nothing to do with the hospital or the Gauteng Department of Health. So that's point number one. I think that is really, really misleading the public, because I found it preposterous that she would then draw a conclusion on those two unrelated issues. The account of the facility is not in area. So the issue of around payments and the challenges that the municipality might be having in the area are not unique to the facility, to the hospital. They're affecting the entire community. So as to how we manage to then make it a hospital problem, it baffles me. So
I think
we just need to clear that.
Yeah, but what I'm understanding the Democratic Alliance is saying is that the hospital has been getting a low supply, not because it owes money to the municipality, but because the municipality owes money to Rand Water, 1.6 billion Rand. Is that correct?
I don't want to confirm what the municipality owes. You must ask the municipality directly. And you can ask also...
But surely as the Department of Health, you would know why there has been a low supply of water at a hospital, yes?
what we do know is that the entire area where the hospital is located has been facing challenges. I think a responsible thing to do would be to speak to the local authority, the municipality itself, and even to Rand Water to say, as a municipality, what that you owing Rand Water? If you owe them Rand Water, how much are you being owed? It's unfair that the hospital is expected to be the one that is answering. When there are businesses, are you going to be asking every business around the hospital how much the municipality is owing? I think it's an unfair question, but you can ask me to say, are we impacted in terms of the situation, which is a fair question because we are, yes, impacted, of course, as and when there are service delivery interruptions because we rely on the municipality in terms of the supply of water. We do make contingency measures, but at times those contingency measures might not necessarily be enough. And I also need to correct, I think, what has been circulating around our own sort of theaters to say our theaters are not functioning because there's no water in the facility, which is also another untruth. The theaters at Carletonville Hospital, there's about 6 of them, which we have taken a decision to completely renovate them. As part of that process, 4 of them are not working now. If you go there tomorrow, you get your cameras to go to Carletonville Hospital, you'll see that this construction has been happening since August. We are completing the project in July 2025. We started in August 2024. It has nothing to do with the current water situation. We've got 2 theaters that are currently operating. When we're done with the 4 in July, we start working on the 2 theaters. So that is just, it has nothing to do with the current water situation.
Okay.
But yes, the area is facing the water problem.
Right, because you are using the words current water situation, and what I'm trying to get to is what that current water situation ultimately is, right? You've got the Democratic Alliance saying there is no central sterilization supply department to sterilize instruments. Is that correct? Is it correct that the emergency arm of the hospital does not have a functional toilet? Is that correct?
It's not correct. On the 8th, in terms of the water situation, on the 8th there was almost completely no water. That matter, as the MPL was saying, it was actually addressed on that day. In terms of the Central Sterilization Supply Department, of course, if there is no water in the facility, it will have a direct impact in terms of the Central Sterilization Department and toilets and so forth. That's why then the hospital will then work on contingency measures. But in the specific incident of the 8th of May, it lasted only for 2 hours. So to try to create an impression that from that day up to today, there's been a problem, it's misleading the public. The challenge was only for those 2 hours when there was no water supply to the facility. And correctly, as the previous speaker said, that the facility was able to coordinate water tankers to come through. So, of course, the truth is that if there is no water completely, it will affect the Central Sterilization Supply Department, but it's not currently affected. It was only affected for those 2 hours at that time on the 8th, on Thursday, when, by the way, it was not the MPL alone was there. It was the portfolio committee of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature that had actually come to the visit. It's also not correct to get an impression that one MPL was at the facility doing an oversight. It was a visit that is scheduled by the Gauteng Provincial Legislature Portfolio Committee on Health and Wellness, which was on site doing an oversight in terms of, as they normally do this oversight across our facilities in the province.
Okay, I need to move towards wrapping this up. And so perhaps a commitment that you're able to make to patients and also those healthcare workers at the Carletonville Hospital, that if there are ongoing low pressure water limitations in place, that they'll be dealt with. And perhaps you can talk to me about how. But the DA saying they're willing to escalate the matter to the South African Human Rights Commission. What do you make of that?
Well, I suppose that anyone who's a stakeholder in that community has a right to take whatever action that they feel will be helpful. We would not stop anyone who's taking action that we think in the long term will also assist us. Remember, we're not opposed to any action that has been taken that is actually going to ensure that ultimately our healthcare facilities have got stability of supply, whether it be water or electricity. That I mean, we would greatly welcome if anyone is taking any action that is going to lead to a situation where we're no longer affected in any way. But the facility does have contingency measures insofar as the issue around water is concerned. That includes utilizing water tankers. It's unfortunate that because of the western area, that is what a challenge with dolomites in terms of sinkholes and so forth in that particular area. As a result, you can't, like in other facilities where we have been able to do boreholes. In this instance, we're not able to drill, because if we drill, it might cause further problems. So the only way for us now is to actually look at expanding the above ground capacity to store water. But even when you do that, you can only go to that extent in terms of having storage of water. You still rely on your local authorities and water utilities that are responsible to ensure that to ensure security of supply, because your contingency measures are meant to, they're called contingency because they are temporary measures, they're not permanent solutions. So if we could manufacture water, of course, maybe we would have considered that option to try and manufacture water ourselves, but we're not in the business of manufacturing water. We're in the business of providing healthcare services, and anything that is done to ensure the stability of supply so that we don't interrupt any of our services, we will always welcome it. So in that respect, we can't really be opposed to actions that are really aimed at assisting to ensure that we have security of supply in terms of basic services like your water and electricity.
Right. Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Gauteng Health spokesperson Motalatale Modiba speaking to us there. You're still watching Newzroom PM, the late edition. More news on the other side of this.